Picture this. You walk into a Best Buy and a salesperson tells you your 3-year-old desktop is basically obsolete. He says you need the new machine, the new chip, the new everything. And here's the thing. He's not entirely lying. He's not telling you the whole truth either. Because the truth is, right now, millions of Americans are throwing away hardware that still has 3, 5, even 7 years of productive life left in it. And the tech industry is counting on you not knowing that. Today, we're going to change that. We're going to look at the hard data behind why desktop PCs, personal computers, are not dying. They're actually beating new hardware in specific measurable ways. And more importantly, we're going to show you exactly what you can do about it in the next 30 minutes after watching this video. If you've ever felt the pressure to upgrade when your machine felt slow, stay with me, because that slowness, it almost certainly isn't the hardware's fault. Welcome to TechRenew Deep Dive. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here because I've spent years inside hardware, doing teardowns, benchmarks, thermal analyses, and kernel-level diagnostics on machines that other people had given up on. And what I found over and over again was the same story. Perfectly capable hardware, artificially crippled by software bloat, poor thermal management, storage degradation, and a mainstream tech culture that profits from your upgrade cycle. This channel exists to fight that cycle with actual engineering knowledge, not surface-level tips like restart your computer or delete your temp files. We go deep. We go technical. We always bring it back to something you can actually do. So let's get into it. Let's start with the big question. Why is everyone saying desktop PCs are dying? The narrative goes something like this. Laptops are outselling desktops. Work from home killed the tower, and mobile chips from companies like Apple and Qualcomm are closing the gap. And on a surface level, that's all true. But here's what that narrative conveniently ignores. A mid-range desktop from 2017 or 2018, something like an Intel Core, 7th Gen, or an AMD Ryzen 1st Gen, paired with a discrete GPU, can still handle the vast majority of real-world workloads in 2025. Video editing, light 3D rendering, gaming at 1080p resolution, data analysis, software, development, all of it. The bottleneck on these machines is almost never the processor. Let me say that again because it's important. The bottleneck on aging desktops is almost never the processor. It's almost always one of 3 things: storage, thermal management, or memory bandwidth. And all 3 of those are fixable without buying a new machine. Let's talk about storage first, because this is the single biggest performance killer I see on aging systems, and it's the most misunderstood. If your desktop is still running a spinning hard drive, what engineers call an HDD, or hard disk drive, your system is being strangled. A traditional spinning drive has sequential read speeds of around 100 to 150 megabytes per second. A modern solid-state drive, an SSD, reads at anywhere from 500 megabytes per second on a basic SATA model, up to 7,000 megabytes per second on a high-end NVMe drive. That's not a small difference. That's 40 to 70 times faster. Here's what that means in practice. When Windows or Linux boots, it's reading hundreds of small files from storage. When you launch Chrome, it's pulling cache and profile data. When your antivirus runs in the background, it's constantly querying the drive. On a spinning drive, all of those operations are creating what's called seek latency, the physical time it takes for the read head to move to the right position on the spinning platter. On an SSD, seek latency is effectively 0. There are no moving parts, so your 2017 desktop with a spinning drive isn't slow because the CPU is weak. It's slow because it's waiting, constantly waiting, for a piece of 1980s technology to find data on a spinning magnetic disk. Drop in a 500 gigabyte SSD for around $40 to $60. Clone your existing drive and your boot time will go from 90 seconds to under 15. Application launch times will cut in half. System responsiveness will feel completely different. This is step 1. Now let's talk about thermals, and this is where I get genuinely excited, because most people have no idea this is happening inside their machine. Desktop PCs don't have the same thermal constraints as laptops, which is one of the reasons they age better in theory. But in practice, most desktops that are 4 or more years old have degraded thermal paste on the CPU, clogged heat sinks, and fans running at suboptimal speeds because the factory profiles were never tuned. Here's what happens when a CPU gets too hot. Modern processors have a built-in protection system called thermal throttling. When the chip hits its thermal threshold, usually somewhere between 90 and 105 degrees Celsius depending on the processor, it automatically reduces its clock speed to prevent damage. Your i7 7th Gen is rated to boost up to 4.2 GHz. But if your thermal paste has dried out and your heatsink is clogged with dust, that chip might be spending most of its time at 2.8 or even 2.2 GHz just to stay alive. You just lost 30 to 40% of your CPU's performance. Not because the chip is old, because it's hot. The fix costs about $8. That's how much a quality tube of thermal paste costs. Isopropyl alcohol to clean the old paste, a fresh application of something like Thermal Grizzly Cryonaut, or Arctic MX4, and a can of compressed air for the heatsink. That's it. I've personally seen CPU temperatures drop 15 to 20 degrees Celsius from a repaste alone. It's on an older machine running a hot chip that can mean the difference between constant throttling and full sustained boost clocks. This is step 2. Let's talk about memory specifically, how much RAM you have, and how your operating system handles it. This is where we go a little deeper, so stay with me. Windows 10 and Windows 11 use a memory management system that includes something called a page file, sometimes called virtual memory. When your system runs out of physical RAM, the actual chips on your motherboard Windows starts writing data that should be in RAM out to the storage drive instead. This is called paging, and it is catastrophically slow compared to actual RAM access. Physical RAM operates at speeds measured in nanoseconds. Your storage drive, even a good SSD, operates at speeds measured in microseconds. That's 1,000 times slower. If you're running 8 GB of RAM in 2025 with modern Chrome, Discord, Spotify, and a few background processes, you are paging constantly. The solution is a 16 GB RAM upgrade, which on most desktop platforms from 2015 to 2020 costs between $25 and $50 for a compatible kit on the used market. But here's the deeper cut that most guides miss. Even if you have 16 GB of RAM, the configuration matters. Running 2 sticks of 8 GB in dual-channel mode gives you roughly double the memory bandwidth compared to running a single 16 GB stick. Bandwidth matters for the CPU's integrated graphics, for large data operations, and for keeping up with fast storage. Check your motherboard manual. Ensure your RAM is seated in the correct slots for dual-channel operation. On most boards, that's slots 1 and 3 or 2 and 4, not 1 and 2. This is step 3. Now let's talk about the operating system itself, because this is where billions of dollars in hardware waste begins. Windows 11 introduced system requirements that technically exclude a huge number of perfectly capable machines, including most Intel 6th and 7th generation processors. Microsoft's stated reason is security. And TPM 2.0 Trusted Platform Module version 2 is a legitimate security feature. But here's the nuance that Microsoft doesn't advertise. You can install Windows 11 on unsupported hardware using Microsoft's own media creation tool with a registry bypass that Microsoft itself has documented. And if you don't want to navigate that, there's another option that the Right to Repair community has been pointing to for years: Linux. Specifically, distributions like Linux, Mint, or Pop!OS are built for exactly this use case, giving aging hardware a modern, fast, supported operating system without the bloat. Linux Mint on a 2016 desktop with an SSD and 16 GB of RAM is genuinely fast. We're talking sub-10-second boot times, smooth application switching, and zero background telemetry eating your CPU cycles. If your workflow is web browsing, document work, video calls, and media consumption, which describes the majority of home users, Linux will do it all, faster and for free. Step 4 is assessing your operating system and deciding whether the platform is working for your hardware or against it. Let's also quickly address the GPU question, because some of you are gaming on these older machines and wondering where the graphics card fits in. A desktop from 2017 running a discrete GPU, a dedicated graphics card, is in a fundamentally different position than a laptop with integrated graphics. If your card is an NVIDIA GTX 970 or higher, you still have DirectX 12 support and Vulkan support, which means you can run the majority of games released in the last 5 years. If your card is older than that, the used GPU market right now is genuinely excellent for upgrading. An RTX 2060 or an RX 5700 can be found on eBay or Facebook Marketplace for around $100 to $150. And it will dramatically outperform what you have for a fraction of the cost of a new system. The desktop platform's upgradability is precisely the reason it isn't dying. You can swap the GPU, add RAM, swap the storage, update the cooling, and get another 4 to 5 years out of a machine that was already paid for. A laptop can't do most of that. Console can do none of it. Now, let me give you the actionable playbook, the specific steps in order. Step 1. Replace your spinning hard drive with an SSD. Priority 1, if you haven't done this. Use a tool like Macrium Reflect Free to clone your existing drive, then swap it out. Budget $40 to $60. Step 2. Reseat and replace your thermal paste. Clean the old paste with 90% or higher isopropyl alcohol. Apply a fresh pea-sized drop of quality thermal compound to the CPU. Clean out heatsink fins with compressed air while you're in there. Budget $10 to $15. Step 3. Confirm your RAM is in dual-channel configuration and consider upgrading to 16 gigabytes if you're currently at 8. Check your motherboard manual for correct slot placement. Budget $25 to $50. Step 4. Audit your operating system. If you're on Windows 10, your support window closes in October 2025. Decide now whether you're moving to Windows 11, supported, or evaluating a Linux distribution like Mint or Pop!OS. Step 5. If gaming is in your use case, check GPU compatibility and browse the used market for a 1-generation-old discrete card. The value per dollar on used GPUs right now is at an all-time high. Before I wrap up, I want to ask you something directly. Have you ever felt like your machine just needed to be replaced, but something inside you said, wait, it's not that old? Drop that in the comments. Tell me what machine you're running, how old it is, and what problem you're dealing with. I read every comment on this channel and I use them to plan future videos. Because this channel is built on one idea, the biggest lie the consumer tech industry tells you is that aging hardware is failing hardware. It's not. Most aging hardware is throttled hardware, dusty hardware, underconfigured hardware. Hardware running the wrong operating system for its capabilities. The upgrade cycle is not about performance, it's about profit. And every video we make here is one more tool in your hands to opt out of that cycle. If this breakdown gave you something actionable, if you learned something today that's going to save you money or extend the life of hardware you already own, subscribe to TechRenew Deep Dive. We're building a community of people who understand their machines, who fix before they replace, and who refuse to let a software update or a marketing campaign tell them their hardware is dead. The industry wants you to buy new. We're here to show you why you don't have to. Hit subscribe. Drop your machine in the comments. And I'll see you in the next deep dive.